You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts. And thanks as always for making us your first listen with the only Chris Level. I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you, hitting the downhill slope for the week and looking ahead to the weekend. Truly, we will be talking purple on today's episode at length. We'll take a listen to their head coach, K-State's head coach, Chris Klieman, on a couple of different fronts regarding what has brought them some recent success and the thought of being revitalized or revived at this point in the season, winners of 3 of their previous 4 and 2 consecutive. And after listening to that head coach, I actually want to wrap up on another footing with you, talking about head coaches near and far in a carousel that is already spinning wildly. It's only October.
Are you a fan of the color purple?
No, I'm not.
The only me neither. I think there's a necktie in my home that goes with a navy suit from years gone by that maybe whatever that I didn't purchase, but the only thing endearing about the color purple, because there's a movie called The Color Purple too, right? Okay, I don't know if I've ever, but I will say the only positive thing I can say about The Color Purple was Prince's song. That I'll take that one, and if people have an issue with that, I'll have to live with it. But
Grimace. Minnesota Vikings defense. I mean, there's room for some purple, I guess, but there's not a lavender tie in the closet. Big Mo, purple stuff. Yeah, there's some room, but no. Yeah, overall, not a fan.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't mean to derail, but I just purple's a strong color, like from the standpoint of it's kind of like this. I just like no, I don't want to.
No. Chris, I grew up getting cheated far too many times every basketball season up in Dimmitt, Texas, by that Amarillo chapter. You know the one. Far too much purple involved for me to really have.
I do know the one.
You know the one.
Yes, I do.
Let's get back to that head coach and this so-called revived Kansas State Wildcats team and take a listen to Chris Klieman talking about that concept at this point in the year.
I think you get revived when you get to November, but you get there's a lot more juice and energy when you play good football and it shows and you win a few games and then you go on the road like we did at KU in a game that not a lot of people thought we were going to win. There's not a lot of people thought we were going to win that game and then go and dominate that game. Yeah, that brings a lot of energy to the team and it brings a lot of energy to the program.
Chris, nothing stays the same, in my opinion, week to week. You get better, you get worse. Well-coached teams traditionally get better or trend upwards. I view this one as well-coached. I got a lot of respect for Chris Klieman, so I'm not surprised they've, found some footing.
Well, this was one of the few favorites to win this league by a variety of media outlets and Vegas odds makers and all the things back in when we were talking about this in June, July, August, and whatnot. And we knew that the game in Ireland was going to be a pretty substantial one just because – that's a lot going on really early. Like we hadn't even, we don't even know everybody's names yet, on the old team here, that kind of thing. And I do wonder, I've had different theories pitched to me from other people that have gone to that Ireland game. And then you just wonder about if that had an effect on both of these teams, because both of these teams have kind of been slow to kind of get it going in a way, or not realizing maybe the expectations that many had. It may have nothing to do with playing an overseas game or anything like that, but it is important to note that Florida State played in it last year, and then they had their worst year ever, and then so I don't know, nothing about going to Europe, but I mean I'm just saying, but they have the way people have described Kansas State to me over the years, and this is the exact same way that you almost feel going into this game. How many years have you said going into a game versus Kansas State, doesn't matter where it is, that and maybe not every time, but a lot of times, man, I look at the talent, I feel like we're the better team. I feel like we have the better this or the better that, or we're playing better, or and then you get into a game with them and they start pushing you around, they don't screw it up, and then you look up going, damn, what's happening? Like, why is the score this way? And you got to be careful about doing that again, because you look at it on paper and you look at the talent and you look at your defense and it's like, well, they just have the one receiver. They just have this quarterback. But they have a really good coach. They have culture. They have momentum. They've got a lot going on, and they're going to have a home crowd with the. By the way, it's Harley Day. They're going to have the. I've experienced 2 or 3 of these previously. They roll these Harley Davidsons in, and they surround the field, and you need like a mask to cover up from the exhaust and the smoke and everything, and it's just that they burn up a lot of fuel revving those engines up when old Willie the Wildcat runs out there leading the team out there.
Wait a second. Not supporters of the Green New Deal, it would sound like. Fair enough. But also sounds kind of like a lumberjack match when they put all the wrestlers on the outside of the ring. Keep revving it up during the game, man. Keep them all the way around. We should think about this.
And if you get thrown out, man, they just throw you right back in, man. And you don't want to get thrown out. If you're the good guy, you don't want to get thrown out of the ring where the bad guys are. But when you're watching pro wrestling, when you're growing up, inevitably that's what would happen.
That's what happened. And then the hijinks ensue. Correct. Yeah. Hey, let's take a listen again to Coach Kleiman talking about, I guess, what has contributed to some of that momentum that you're referencing. And this behooves any football team, no matter how talented or untalented you are. Take the ball away from others. Don't give it away yourself. That's what they've been doing. Here's Chris Kleiman.
Credit Coach Kleiman and that defensive staff of emphasizing it. And sometimes they come in bunches, but you got to emphasize it. We're doing turnover circuits all the time. We're stripping, our backs and stuff. You see it in practice as well, going in and trying to attack the football when it's in the air. That's been a big part of our success, guys, the fact that we have, knock on wood, we have not turn the football over on offense, and we've gotten those turnovers on defense. And so I don't know where we're at, plus close to double digits, but that's been a huge factor for us as we've played better. It's mind on ball for starters. Let's make sure we're all squared away on that. It's been hey, our mind's on the ball, meaning we've got to get the ball out. We've got to get the ball back to our offense. That's what the mob is mind on ball. And our kids hold each other accountable to that. If you're not stripping in practice of the football, man, Dez, Austin, Cody, Dame, VJ, they're going to be on your tail, because we can't just go and arm tackle. We didn't tackle very well on Saturday, and our guys were on each other's butt for it, because we have to tackle well. But we were able to get the ball out and strip it, and I thought Daniel Cobbs has as good interception as you're going to have here. But that's that mind on ball mentality, and those kids hold each other to that standard of we got to get the ball back for our offense.
And not really something that was happening earlier in the year, and they were giving it away a little bit more. I think they had like 4 turnovers in their first 3 games. That same number in like the last 5. And then we talked about on yesterday's episode the 15 takeaways in Big 12 play, man. That will work.
Yeah, I mean, they played 8 games. They have 17 takeaways on the season. You mentioned the 15 and just Big 12 play, but it's not to be Captain Obvious here. And I know that Coach Kleiman's like, guys, this is why we're playing. I mean, yeah. They've won 3 of 4. The 3 wins have all been by double digits, and this is just the main ingredient as to why. Yes, their quarterback is playing better, and part of that is because he's making some plays, but also taking care of the ball. So he's helping this number out by not negating what the defense is doing. They don't do anything crazy schematically defensively to create these turnovers. They're just very sound, and it's a typical Kansas State outfit. They're not going to overwhelm you with some draft pick here or draft pick there or crazy scheme that you haven't seen before. No, they are just where they're supposed to be. They tackle well, and because they have population around the football, if they do poke it out, or if you and this is – there's some red receivers. They're going to need to be careful here, but like those, like, oh, I got it, and it tips up in the air. I mean, it just, this is not the game you can play with that. You can't do that in this one because these guys will pounce. They will take advantage. They will feel really good about it, and this has been their recipe. That's why I say.
First, today's episode brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick awards than anyone else. And with a Mazda, you can make everyday drives feel like anything but, with smooth handling and intuitive controls. Plus, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like the Red Raiders, Mazda sweats every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved.
That's why I say you have to be willing to, in this game, maybe even, and I hate to use this word, but I'm going to use it anyways. You almost have to be willing to be a bit conservative and not take as many chances, like forcing a pass or whatever it may be, just because you do have your defense and because you just don't want to give them extra chances and all the thing, because this is how they're living and breathing right now. I mean, the head coach just said it with his gray sweatshirt on. It was not purple. I appreciated his choice there, although that big purple background, it is loud. We can hear it. So anyways, but yeah, this is the, because you go into every game like, hey man, we just got to win the turnover battle. Sure, no doubt. This one, highlight it, put it in bold, underline it, circle it, whatever. This will largely decide this one, if not, and absolutely decide it.
Yeah, and you've really got to get back to business. I think, what was it like? Did you have a handful in your first two Big 12 games against Utah and Houston as far as takeaways?
Yes.
And it's been a little quieter on that front in some recent weeks. There was a very flashy one, obviously, from Jacob Rodriguez getting back to the house on Saturday. So that's a nice trend, maybe back in that direction. But you've done it before, and arguably against your two most difficult opponents so far this year, at least record-wise, Chris. So got to find a way to get back to it. I think one thing that stood out last week on the defensive theme for Tech was just the inability to get to the quarterback as often as I wanted to see, especially against that kind of team and that kind of line and quarterback. It was kind of wild to see a sack not really occur until really late in the game. And I actually forgot who got that one, but I think it was a second or third stringer maybe. Certainly wasn't Bailey or Height. So I know that contributes to taking the ball away, and hoping they can find a way to maybe get a little busier in the backfield as well.
I think you're talking about Cheto Ofili, I think is who you're,
right?
or Ansel Nadore, one of the two.
Possibly. My bad, guys. Love you all.
It was all of them. Yeah.
And of war.
And against Kansas, I think it was Terrell Tillman at the very end. So you're starting to see some of this depth and these other guys that started to eat back there. And this is an offense that is similar to, but very different from anything you've really seen to this point. This is as close to like what Iowa State does, but it's just really, it's funny because Cole Wisniewski, he came from North Dakota State, and it's like when he met with the media yesterday, he's like, yeah, I know what their offense looks like. I saw it for 4 or 5 years. This is North Dakota State stuff, and it's just a little bit different with the way that they motion and shift and how they isolate and the way that they run it and all that stuff. And then you factor in a quarterback that can do some things that are off script, if you will, and then be smart with it, which he's kind of starting to grow up a little bit. I think it's a potential problem. And Jace Brown, just so we're clear, he wears number 1. He's a slot. This is thought to be a mid-round pick in the NFL. He's got the speed. He has been very explosive for them. He's averaging 16 yards a catch when he does get it. And so you want to know what skill player to pay attention to? That's the one, literally, in your heart and in your program and then on your spotting board, whatever. He's the guy that you say, and he's not Jordan Tyson. This isn't a feed him till he burps kind of guy. This is just you got him stop, and then here we go. So. But he's the guy that can just make a big play for them, and that's kind of what has been happening for Kansas State a little bit. I saw it against Kansas. I saw it against Iowa State at the beginning of the year. I mean, he just kind of like that. He's their Jacoby Williams, but more specialized in the wide receiver role, and then sometimes as a returner and all those things. But yeah, man. It's going to be an interesting one, 2:30 in Manhattan with surrounded by Harleys, the Lumberjacks, as you called them.
How do we factor in Avery Johnson in all this? Because it seems very obvious that K-State's offense has been at its best or working at its best when it's not really all on his shoulders in the passing game. It's been a little bit more limited as far as that the last couple of weeks, and surprised they're finding some success. We know firsthand as Red Raiders what he can do with his legs, unfortunately. So how do you think you kind of address trying to maybe force him into some things or keep him out of some things that he's more comfortable in?
Yeah, I mean, he's not the highest paid quarterback in the state of Kansas. That is Patrick Mahomes, but it's close. He is well paid. This was a Heisman candidate coming into the year. This was kind of the guy that they made a big deal about. Yes, people came after him, but he stayed. He's a local, semi-local player. Then you had the whole deal with his family kind of getting in this issue in Ireland, and then whatever. It's been a weird kind of year, but he is really. I mean, I think Coach Kleiman actually has said, "Hey, man, he's just coming off of he either meant his best game in a Wildcat uniform or his best game this season. Either way, has just played that for either this year or for the whole career, and he's an impressive guy. And I think the expectations get out of whack a little bit. I think there's been times where he has struggled to throw it in with his accuracy. There's been a lot of conversation that he's not running it enough, or that they aren't calling enough runs for him. Well, his family doesn't want him to run it, or his agent doesn't want him to run it. They don't want him to get hurt. It's malpractice not to run him more. This is what he's so good at. I don't know, but as he started to run it a bit more, that's where he's really dangerous, because you've got to, when you go after him, I mean, he can just stop and throw it, and you're playing it's just, it puts you in conflict. So, but Joe Jackson is going to be the running back. Obviously, they've got a good group of tight ends, as they always do. They have a really talented young player that's coached by Luke Wells, and obviously Matt Wells is calling the plays here. But Jace, that's the one that maybe scares me the most, because he's the one that can kind of take the top off, and that you've kind of got it covered, and then it's just like, damn, what just happened? And then the Harleys are over there revving it up, and I'm inhaling exhaust, and it's a mess. So,
I'm afraid these Harleys are going to be targeting you with as much as you're talking about them. It's like Coach McGuire talking about not wanting to single out an injury for fear of them being targeted by the opponent. The Harleys are going to be circling Big Handsome this weekend.
Yeah,
I think in Manhattan, if they hear this. And by the way, you're about to get a lot of Missourians.
I know. Sorry,
shorting them. Patrick Mahomes in the city of Kansas City.
I never know. Like when I go to Kansas City, it's like, well, depending on what part of the city you're in, what state are you in, I don't know. I just
where would you rather pay taxes in if you were Patrick Mahomes? I'm not sure which state.
Yeah.
I forgot Matt Wells is in the mix. Man, please.
Oh,
Lord.
and
the second down punt going.
Jerron Bradley is one of their receiver rotational guys. He's been, I think, a bit dinged up.
He's still playing?
Yes, he is. Will Farrar, who's a former offensive lineman from like 5-6 years ago. He's a graduate assistant there. Obviously, Matt and Luke there. There's a lot of connections. But bottom line is, this is about a head coach that has a program built on culture and really, hard work DNA. And then they've got this just whole wizardry magic over you to where, like I was telling you, you can just feel like you're more talented. You feel like you're this, you're that, and then you look up and it's like, what's happening? But this is just what they do, and this hasn't been the kind of year that they wanted to this point. They are looking at this as like, we have to win out. We have no choice. We can play spoiler here. We can wreck Texas Tech season. Maybe we'll get into that tomorrow's show, but. We're just now playing our best ball. We're getting better, and we can maybe be the storyline as we finish this thing up with so many games left to still go play.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make too much out of their recent run. I respect the program. I don't think this is the type of K-State team that we're really accustomed to or they thought they would have coming into the year, but it is Central Florida. It is Texas Christian. It is Kansas. I'm not trying to overstate what they are as a team, but you better be ready and you better respect what they're doing because they are the epitome of what football programs should really strive to be fundamentally. And then if you just get talented on top of that, then look out. You're probably going to do something serious. But that's why they're always vexing and very dangerous and typically always competitive for something serious in November. So I'm sure they will have that part of their culture obviously still engaged.
Yeah, they typically block and tackle better than you. And that's why what you're saying, that's what they're built on, and
that's the game.
Well coached, and they've got guys that give great effort, and they're not typically going to out athlete you in a lot of cases, but they just don't screw it up, and that's why you're going up here on Saturday. You just simply cannot give them extra opportunities or have one of these games where you're going to drop everything or commit 100 yards in penalties, or they will punish you.
Yeah. I know we got to move on because we're running out of time, but I'm still just trying to process in my mind the timeline that we've traveled in a wild set of circumstances that brings back together in 2025, Baron Morton and Jerron Bradley into the same stadium after I think it was like the late 90s when they were dazzling us in Stillwater, Oklahoma together once upon a time.
But when they, some of their last magic together was in the state of Kansas.
That's true. Yeah.
And it was a drive at the very end of the game to allow you to beat the Jayhawks 16-13, and it was I think one long, maybe it was two passes from Morton to Bradley that allowed you to win an ugly game. But man, back up out of there and win it. This one can be the same way. I don't give a damn. Although it'll just be Barron to somebody else this time.
And shout out to what I presume now after all this time is approaching Dr. Bradley. Glad to have a mention on this program. Before we get out of here, Chris, we all know this coaching carousel in college football is spinning wildly and probably only going to get wilder as we roll through the final month of the regular season. And I'm kind of curious, within the Big 12 conference, if you feel like there's anything bubbling maybe under the surface, because it kind of seems like this is a carousel that could kind of encompass all of college football or impact all of college football conference to conference in a way. So how do you see it maybe from a Big 12 perspective? First, today's episode brought to you by Peloton. Peloton shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus, powered by Peloton IQ, their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. I'm talking training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach your peak performance. And with personalized class recommendations, you're going to stay engaged with workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward by exploring the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. That's ONE Peloton.com.
What we are seeing right now is largely unprecedented, especially at the Power 4 level. I think we've talked repeatedly about how these players are getting paid and it's a good thing and all that stuff. Well, what's happening is, and they're kind of like NFL or pro, we're kind of seeing coaches handled the same way. There's no more patience. There's no buyout. Certainly not. Everybody's like, yeah, I got 50 million plus sitting in the old couch cushion. No problem. We can make that. And again, there's mitigated risk. And if they're going to go work somewhere else, you just have to pay the difference and you pay it out. And so there's, you see these numbers and it's okay. But you're asking about, because what's funny is, Cincinnati's coach came into the season on the hot seat, and I think he really needed to win. Not no more.
Mm.
No, he that seat is ice cold now. And he is I mean, he's putting all the chili on top of his spaghetti noodles up there in Cincy, and is probably hunky-dory about it. There is no doubt. But I do wonder about Baylor. I also wonder. I mean, obviously we have Oklahoma State. I'm curious what happens with Colorado and Dion's health issues, and then their team has just not been competitive. They're paying him a lot. I don't know. It's just worth monitoring. But here's your one, because and we know this because this is maybe Tech's one of, if not the most impressive win, is what you did in Houston. But there's still a lot of people believe that because half of the carousel is about the domino effect that it creates, and if in fact, Matt Rule, Joey McGuire's like close friend, if he does in fact go to his alma mater at Penn State, Nebraska is going to be sitting there, going, okay, what do we do? And you know who their athletic director once hired? Willie Fritz at Tulane. Willie Fritz having a pretty good year, is he not?
He is.
Nebraska's a better job than Houston, is it not?
It was.
I mean,
I'm just kidding. I just want to take a shot at Nebraska.
Yeah, but and that's up for. but these are the kinds of dynamics that can come into play here, because and like if you're, I'll say this on the flip side, if you're Baylor. Does, because of this coaching carousel being wild and crazy, does it give you pause on letting your guy go? Because it's like, we're not going to have a chance at all these guys because there's not enough good candidates anyways. And we're trying to compete with Florida and Penn State and now LSU and maybe Nebraska. I mean, so there's all kinds of dynamics that get into play here, and finances. Because if you're gonna cut your guy loose and pay to do it, you better feel pretty strongly about the fact that you can upgrade or something there, than just bringing in some coordinator from somewhere and like, we paid all this money and this is what you're giving us. Yep. And so anyway, it's going to be fascinating to follow this in the coming weeks and months because it affects the transfer portal and recruiting classes, and Texas Tech could be in a position to pounce on a lot of it. I'm not saying, I'm just saying.
Oh, I like the wrap-up, finish, conclusion, and summation to that one. I do like those opportunities coming our way. And, yeah, that's the big button to push. I mean, you're resetting everything if you decide to pull that trigger, and then you're out there in a really vulnerable spot if you are of a certain ilk. Be curious to see how it continues to progress. And I do think, as you kind of allude to there at the beginning, it maybe is a new normal of sorts. I don't know if to this extent, but the early in-season changes and trying to get ahead of the curve, I think we'll see more and more of this as we roll through some years to come. Chris, I appreciate your time as always, man. Enjoyed the conversation. Plenty more to get to as we get ready for this one this week. A couple more go rounds and, of course, a mailbag edition on the way as well. So looking forward to all of the above, and we'll see you for the next one.
Just say no to purple, people, and we'll talk to you next time. Keep hope alive. We love you all. Guns up.
Double no to lavender, a worse version of purple, if you can imagine one. Get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Appreciate the everydayers for always riding along. And, of course, the Matador Mob. Hit our show notes and find a link to a free 14-day trial. That's your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks, as always, for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.